Hope everyone's okay out there. I hope that we have been setting expectations coming to this current period that we're in. Actually, I'm going to start off with this graph and then I'm going to show you what is my favorite chart of the day. And then we're just going to talk about what to expect from here. But no doubt, it seems that, yeah, lots of love, Matty H. Kid. We got a little bit of head snack lined up today. Head snack just out on the iMessage right before going live. We're gonna have to play a little Taco Tuesday on this Wednesday. Listen, Trump set it off yesterday. Blame Trump, no doubt about it. We have Trump saying that maybe we're not gonna meet with China. We have no choice but to meet with China, but maybe we're not gonna meet with China. And coming into next week's summit, right? Next Friday and Saturday, we have the South Korea summit between President Xi and President Trump. My expectations are both are going to try to get maximum negotiating leverage. Why keeping everything copacetic? We have flows, and from where we are today, today's 21st, maybe 22nd, you could see that this week into the end of the week, just historically, is a drain on flows. That's a drag. And then we have obviously the one other major inflection point that we're looking at is on Wednesday, next Wednesday, the 29th, where we have Microsoft, Meta, and Alphabet all have earnings. And it's very important to see what their plans are for further spending in this AI race. If that were to all of a sudden go the wrong way, then yeah, that derails everything. Those, like, if something goes bad between the meeting between President Xi and President Trump, if something goes bad here, then the Bears, who are just trying, it's a little sensational. Bears take control. Well, I mean, for today they have control, but that, the Bulls are in control, you know, and but this could be the point though, if one of those things that we just discussed goes the wrong way, which I don't know how to put a probability on those things. I imagine that they're very low, but it's the markets. Anything could happen. Um, yeah, that's a funny thing. We've never had a target for Bitcoin. It's a great question. A lot of people are like, what's your target? What's the target? And you know what? A lot of people have a lot of things to say, and that's good because you want to be able to just be able to use everything as a point of reference to help form your own opinions about what you see happening and what you think is happening. But the truth is, this was a horrible event. My expectations were that Bitcoin was going to go significantly higher. I thought 180,000 was in the bag during this bull market. I really did. I mean, good job, right? Getting the majority of the people onboarded to Bitcoin, around that area. And then this was a major and the first major de-risk event, except I didn't know that. And it was a de-risk event. Like, take all of your profits from trading. If you have any loans, pay them down. This is wrong, de-risk down. But I didn't know personally that the bull market was over there either. And then we had a second de-risk event, and it was the break of 35,000. And it was like, listen, if you didn't de-risk here, this is your opportunity, you know? And then we had one more. We had the break of 27. I was like, this is your last chance. If you haven't de-risked down, this is it. And I mean, of course, on this break, we knew that we were in a bear market on the break of 35. Um, but you know, 17,250, we called the bull market breakout. That's it. Like, look, we don't know that. We didn't know that it was going to last to where it is to today. There's no way. And there's times that it almost broke down. But here it is. And the bull market breakout, we called 17,250, is still underway. And, I don't know where it ends. If there's a de-risk event, for sure we'll be all over it. But my expectations are that, and again, I just gave out two major inflection points. Major inflection points. We have the 29th. If the AI narrative comes to a halt and a crash, by the way, did you see this? Is pretty pretty like worth sharing over here. Did you see this? This is pretty worth sharing. What kind of English is that? That's great. Amazon is looking to replace employees 600,000, according to the New York Times. A lowball estimate, perhaps. They're looking to replace them, over the next 10 years. And they're talking about this is like gaslighting or something. They're like, we realize this is going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of communities. So we're going to hold parades and donate to Toys for Tots. What? Guys, this is serious. This is serious. The world is not, you're not going to recognize the world 5 years from now. You have to prepare now, which means you need to make really smart decisions. Some people believe that a smart decision today is selling their gold. This is going to bring up my favorite chart of the day. We'll come back to Bitcoin in 1 second and finish those thoughts. But listen, my expectations are that we're going to be able to walk through November. Here's that flow chart you were looking at. And they're quite bullish through the rest of the year after we get past into the first week of November, so long as the AI narrative continues with good reason, and China and the US just continue to not get worse, right? If things were to, and of course, you could wake up and 2 weeks from now there could be a ceasefire in the Ukraine. China and the United States could have came to a grand deal. Fed is cutting into this, and we are going to accelerate sooner than I think. But I think the next time there's a new narrative, the narrative is going to be, we're reaccelerating. And I think into 2026, that's going to become the story. The same people that have been calling recession, are calling for a recession. And who knows? Right now, if you look around and you see what the Fed now projections for this quarter is 3.9% GDP growth. The growth thus far is there. And again, we're watching things that could cause us to change our opinions. You have to be watching the news in this new era. There we go. This is why we just had that beautiful downwick over here. Considering plan to restrict globally produced, blah, blah, blah. Look, right now, coming into the summit, both sides are posturing to give themselves the best advantage for the negotiation. And that coinciding with the flows this next week. Yeah, that's why we have the bears in the background. And yeah, I mean, is there a good chance that over the next week we could test down into this area for sure? And then we'll have to see what the outcome is. And then, hopefully it's a good outcome. And then we are seeing the Fed cut into everything looking pretty good. And we're headed towards, the track that is the best performing track, not just off of 20% correction, not just tied today with the 1998 track. Both of those tracks, the 2 prior years, had 20% plus gains. Look, and at both points here, the Fed is cutting. The story of what happened last time. Here's a good illustration of the story, or not. If I don't have it, I'm not going to spend any time looking for it. But anyway, here it is. This is what happened last time. They're trying to run it hot. They need to grow their way out of this debt. It's the only option they have, and it's going to fail. It is going to fail eventually. And when it fails, it's going to be bad news bears. But a lot of people think since the Fed began cutting last September that we're late cycle. Anyway, we're in unprecedented times, and we are going, like, what's happening now. I just pointed out Amazon. I should have pointed out to you what's going on here with Meta, and Meta is getting ready to lay off a few hundred of their AI department engineers. This was after they hired a few with $100 million pay package. And they believe, and this is Meta, but this is definitely something that is, it's happening everywhere on different levels. But all that you need with these tools now is you need some really top level people, and you need a lot less of the middle, and they're getting laid off, and it's a corporation. It's good for their earnings. Is it good for society? Absolutely not. Uncle Elon is telling us, "Oh, don't worry. Don't worry, guys. Elon is like, listen, um, you know what? AI and robots are going to replace all jobs. Working will be optional, like growing your own vegetables instead of buying them from the store." Okay. So Elon, with his army of robots and XAI, he's going to be the master of the universe. And what are you supposed to do? Like, you think that Elon right now is sitting on a pile of cash? And obviously you all know, I support Elon. I don't, not that I support Elon. I don't trust anyone. I'm you know he's built some pretty incredible companies. He co-founded OpenAI. He's the founder of XAI. He's the founder or co-founder of Tesla, but the only reason Tesla is where it is because of Elon. SpaceX, number 2 company in the whole world. I mean, the guy is, forget boring. He's like, hey, here's the idea. Someone else take it, run with it. Um, do you guys think that the powers that be, and whoever they are, the ones who hold the most compute, are going to be like, Jack, what do you need? We're here for you. You you could work if you wanted, Jack, but either way, toys for tots, parades. Come on. Anyway, I digress. And do I think that there's anything to suggest that the 4-year cycle is going to hit right now and the market top is in over here around the 6th of October? Listen, if things go south into that event horizon we're looking at, then I think that, not just Bitcoin, but all markets likely are going to be into correction. But I think it's a correction. And I think it'll be near-term turbulence. And at the end of the day, either it's going to be the Trump or it's going to be Z, but there's going to be a massive taco. And when that happens, at that point, is going to be back towards this current situation that we remain in. There's a lot of people concerned, including Powell, about the developing liquidity situation. They're stopping QT. What's the Fed's job? To make sure the house of cards keeps going at this particular point in time. Listen, a lot of people are thinking now is a good time to get out of gold. This is my favorite chart of the day. And by the way, how quickly we've seen the market caps. Let me just refresh this page just in case. Well, I have to come back to that. I can't. I have to come back to your question in 1 second. I will come back to it though. So we have about a $500 billion difference now between silver and Bitcoin, and we're seeing obviously massive correction underway after a more than massive run up. Look at this. I mean, I like seeing silver above 50. 13% correction coming off of though a massive run over here. 46% happening since the summer. It was a lot of people thinking that the top is in. I like this chart over here. I just like the chart, and I'll tell you why in a second. Let me share it with you first. This chart over here is looking at Bitcoin, gold's run from 2006 and comparing it to 2005. And in 2006, you see gold came back, and this was the beginning of a long consolidation. What's kind of interesting about it, though, is that the consolidation period, and just put a CTM 1.0 trend line break above there, right? And that's the juice. That's when it's time to get back in. But what's interesting about the length of the consolidation is it's about the length of the run up in time. So I wonder if that's, is that something we're looking at over here, guys? Is gold about to enter into a 10, 14-year bear market? No, it's not. Were a lot of leverage traders absolutely puking and blowing up? Absolutely. There's no question about it. Are a lot of look, I'm reminded of this chart. So let me show it to you. And again, I don't have it, so I can't show it to you. But it was the Weimar Republic chart and gold, and the moves were violent. Violent, 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 violent. And if you look at the distance of the run up, right? If I were to project what that was, that looks like it's kind of like about into February, more or less, right? So I wonder where I'm sorry, I shouldn't say February from where we were. Oh, it is no, hold on, February. And you know, is that a potential rough guide to watch for the repair? You get the repair up, and that's when big gold is done consolidating. I was very surprised, as were most people, that the correction here was a lot shallower than anticipated, and and look at this, the length of the consolidation here is roughly the move upwards, roughly. And it's my personal belief that yes, there's very, very significant probability that gold is now entering into a consolidation, which is a correction, right? And is this the low? Is it going to go lower? The point is that it's an accumulation pocket, and a lot of people who felt like, as gold is trading at $4,400, gold's going to 12,000, gold's going to 20,000. I don't know when, next 5 years, next 10 years, and I feel like this should be a part of my portfolio. Well, this might be the opportunity during this pocket to begin accumulating, right? And if that's your view, was that I'm heavy Bitcoin, I was light gold, and there's a place for both of them, then maybe the way you view it, the longer it consolidates and the lower price goes, actually the better for you. And you could look at this just chart one more time, my favorite chart of the day, and you could see if you were accumulating that whole time, starting now in 2006 and through that correction, it gave you a chance to build into a position. It's a good thing. It's as is, whether or not gold, Bitcoin is being manipulated by Wall Street and or any other player, including the U.S. government, in order to give them chance to stack more stats. It gives you more of a chance too, guys. When Bitcoin eventually passes 500,000 and goes to 1 million, I know Michael Saylor says it's going to, like, I don't know, what does he say, 13 million, 42 million? I have no idea. But the opportunity for you is there's a 10x between now and 1 million. There's a 10x there. At 1 million to 10 million, God, I don't know what that looks like or anything like that. Let's focus on what's in front of us. One, you were asking, you had a serious question in the Bitcoin high watermark view. I don't know what that means. The CTM strategy seems to be underperforming, not by roaring in the bliss. Seems like it often has a year downtrend before it roars again. So I think what we're looking at here, and I'll just do a couple of things and you let me know. By the way, we saw strategy exiting the market, strategy exiting with, basically a break even, 2.2%. And we're seeing FNGU is world getting rocked here, currently down 3.9% on the entry today. FNGU overall, our best performer. However, also with a steep stop, 7%, currently under a lot of pressure. And then we have Cardano currently in the market on the short side. The only thing as far as our Bitcoin and crypto, and it's currently holding a position right now, 8.9%. And here's the thing, is that between stocks and crypto, remember, Bitcoin, crypto, stocks, it's how you win. You gotta have a plan. Why can't I edit that? Here, we come over here. I don't care what you're starting at. You got to have a plan. You got to get there. How did I get over here? Let me put myself back over here. And right now, in this period of uncertainty, right? No momentum, I should say. There's no momentum. By the way, the navigation here has been the same between V4, and I know that on a daily basis until the release, I should be forward testing that with you. Just there's no difference except the Cardano short here took profit at about 6%, and it's currently holding about 8.9% in our current one. So that's the only difference as far as V4. And then jumping back over here, we have Bitcoin bull runs is still out of the market. It was close to buying in. Yesterday's candle looks so good. I thought it was such a good call over here. And well, doesn't look like it anymore. But anyway, it was looking fantastically great yesterday. But thanks to the president and his negotiating skills, it's not looking like that today whatsoever. So Juan, are you looking at this? Oh, you got this drawdown over here. Yeah. So yes, Juan, let me just start off by saying there's no question about it that most of the time trading CTM strategies, and let me just jump back over to here as we're talking about that. This is very important. This is Stanley Druckenmiller, one of the greats, right? And he's talking about, listen, got the biggest thing in the markets is to have a system. You don't get to follow a plan and get to achieve your wildest goals, outpacing what would be like, this is like how compounding works, accumulating 1 million. Look at this. What's this timeline over here? This timeline is starting, not starting with 10K, but also investing another 10K yearly. And you're looking at roughly 21 years or something close to that. Starts here with 13, 17, 20, 24, 25 years compared to some CTM things, not having to invest yearly, but just going ahead and managing your own investment. But look, and this is why I've brought up to you many times, Ed Seykota. And Ed Seykota, this chart over here, he's had one of the greatest returns in the history of investing. And if you look at that P&L over a 10-year period, you realize that, wait, most of the time, that is sideways, not growing or going anywhere, and in correction. And that's the truth of it. And that's what it is. And it's not anything different over here. Now, it's true, Bitcoin bull runs was first designed. How could you find a way to outperform Bitcoin if you knew where, and hold on one second. Let me just come. How could you outperform Bitcoin if you knew when the bull market began and when it ended? And I mean, this outperforms on a long-term basis with a significantly low drawdown, buy and hold. But we're in a new regime. I think we're in a new regime, and volatility has been down significantly. I'm looking for a chart. Here we go. Volatility has been down significantly, and you can see it over here. Look at this business, right? We're used to these wild swings, and since the bull market breakout in 2023, we're in a massive different volatility regime. Jordan, you said that there was going to be reduced downside volatility and also upside volatility. We're not going euphoric, except I believe that actually we're going to walk up towards the top of these deviations over here. Now, V4 is a little different. If you could, give me 1 second over here. Let me put up the context of the drawdown so far in gold, the context of the drawdown so far in silver. Let me pull up expectations coming into the end of the year. Should everything go well with the two events that we're watching? Let me wonder for a second. I know it's not, some people are, a lot of gold investors, they're pricing, first of all, their what was their, like, their wealth up in at priced at that, right? And there's a saying that for every dollar, for every for every dollar your portfolio goes down, psychologically feels like $2 going down compared to $1 going up. So that's more of like, that's a big hit they're feeling right now because they were pricing in at the Bitcoiners are probably used to that, right? Anyway, I hope you're all well. We are so well focused, our awareness, our positioning. Guys, it's a calm day out there. It's not a honeymoon day. We're in control. The bears are in control. Bears trying to take control, but we're in control, and it's methodical and it's systematic, and it's making sure that regardless of what happens, we're going to continue to be there to methodically continue to make that progress and put ourselves on the right side. Let me put up my favorite chart of the day for 1 second, just to give you a glance at it. And I'm going to pull up, if for example, someone was able, I don't have to pull it up, it's here. If someone was able to know when the very bottom of the bull market breakout, 17,250, January 1st, 2023, until today, and with V4, you could see that even with picking the low and straight up to the right, we're putting ourselves in a position to outperform a bull market up and to the right. You could see the green line, which is the performance, and then you could see 567 buy and hold. And that, look, it's been 2 years since V2 has been released. We're skipping V3, we're going right to V4. And if you think there's anything easy about this, no. Let me just go ahead and show you one more thing over here. So it's coming soon. This is from the top of the 2018, right? No, let's try the top of the from 2022 to today. The top of the last bull market, and look at the performance. Look at the outperformance compared to buy and hold. Buy and hold up 175%. CTM V4 coming, not even close. What happens the previous top of the bull market starting in January 2018? Buy and hold, crushing it, 648%. Guys, you have to think the long term. This is where we're doing. This is where we are. Yes, let's do that, Ace. Let me come over right here, and for that same period, let's turn off, Ace, the short side. So you're looking at now same performance, buy side only, right? 637% to 602% buy and hold, and that's with Bitcoin up and to the right. Look, if you were to do that to April, so starting in 2023, why I'm picking April is because that's when we just went through a 30% drawdown. So do April 15th. And there you could see Bitcoin obviously is not, we would hope so, but you never know. And it's not always going to go up to the right. So you can see even the buy side only in a bull market up and to the right, we'll call it, 30% is not outperformance. We'll call it keeping track. And that right there, absolutely beautiful. Amen. Absolutely. We're working strong. So that's a hard de-risk event. Let's talk about this for a second. And this is a great question. And let's just jump back over to here. So by the way, I was looking at this with you, and we have bull market breakout. It came very close to being pierced. And guys, this is such a pivotal event. This is when the courts ruled that Grayscale could roll their fund into a spot ETF, and then Wall Street, boom. If that breaks, that's coming in right around, let's call it, I don't know, but 92,000 if we went straight down, upward sloping, pretty steep angle. And then it looks to me like this new channel we have been in. You can see the top here. There's a nice touch here. We have 1, 2 touches to the bottom. That seems to, and this is so strange. Bitcoin's never done that before. Bitcoin usually goes from a one angle, call it like this. This one was aggressive, no doubt. And I've shown you sometimes before. I'm not going to do it right now because I want to talk about this. But this instead of accelerating an angle, we cooled off an angle, and that's what it looks like to me. This happened, and that angle or that channel comes in right around, let's call it, straight down 87,000. And I wonder, I don't know if this is appropriate. Here's our green that's coming in right around there. That's a bit. I'm not prepared to show it to you, so I'm not going to look at that right now. If we were to break that, the question was, so let me just jump over to here. Is that a de-risk event? And man, I'll tell you what, for me, like if something fundamentally changes here, and right now the only thing that I could see that would fundamentally change were to be if one of the Mag 7 was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not putting more money. I'm not throwing more money at this. That is a game changer. And I think that the markets would go under into a really strong correction. And I think that Bitcoin would not be immune. And if we broke this under those circumstances, I would consider that to be a de-risk event because I have no idea how long, is as far as price going down as well as duration for it to repair would be. If nothing out of the ordinary is happening, if nothing new that has entered into the picture is occurring and that's breaking down or that we're coming in to test that, I have to be honest, I consider that to be an opportunity as we would be down roughly 30%. I think that's exactly how I view it. Oh yeah, 100%. Which is like I can't imagine Bitcoin entering into a lower volatility regime than it's been in now, like not until it's into late majority and the adoption is yeah, but exactly that. I think that's well articulated. I think 88K under normal circumstances is an opportunity, and I think that that's a major de-risk event if something has changed. That's the way we're looking at it, guys. We're not looking too far into the future right now. We're only looking towards the end of the month. We're looking at what, and that weekend is going to be so pivotal, and how the futures open up on Sunday over in Asia is going to be like, if earnings go well as far as expectations into the next quarter and next year, and then not just the earnings, but capex spending, and then you see that President Xi and President Trump walk away with even a grand deal, or like that hurdle is overcome, then I think that we're going to see futures running on Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Monday morning in Asia, and I think Bitcoin is going to be telling that story ahead of time. That weekend is so critical. And to have Bitcoin trading 24/7 at that particular moment, that's what I'm watching over there. That's going to be an opportunity. If you didn't hit the like button today, come on, guys, show some love. Yes, that completely could happen at for sure, but it's not looking like that. If we walk away from this pivotal moment ahead of us and we're able to into the end of the year show some like seasonalities, and guys, don't forget the track we're coming off of and have continued out up until this moment. If we're rising into the end of the year, which a lot suggests that that's the direction that we're headed outside of what we talked about, then Bitcoin is not entering into a mini bear. It's going to be entering into a mini bull. It's going to be making new all-time highs and a leg up. And that's the expectations. We always watch for a risk, but that's the expectations. Yeah, and time out. It's about accumulating and not losing capital. I barely made anything this year, but it's mostly due to my personal trading. Overall capital preservation is very important than trying to YOLO. But Alexa, your growth this year has been outstandingly tremendous. Big fan. Everyone, have a beautiful day. God bless you. Unless something fundamentally changes, though, then we got to be prepared. Got to be always prepared to pivot. We'll put it all together, and we'll work it out. So we got some major inputs we're looking for coming up soon. Everyone, I'll see you all back on the inside. God bless you. Have a beautiful day, everyone.